Hey everyone, Azim here. We're going to go over organs of the abdominopelvic cavity. The abdominopelvic cavity is bordered by the diaphragm superiorly. The abdominal wall is muscle. So these are your oblique muscles. There's 3 different oblique muscles. And then anteriorly you'd have more abdominal muscles, your rectus abdominis, and then some tendinous sheaths. So it is not very protected by bone. It's actually very, very vulnerable, which is why if we're trying to protect ourselves, we tend to go in a kind of a crouched fetal position. We can broadly divide up the abdominal pelvic region into 4 quadrants. We have the upper right quadrant, upper left quadrant, lower right quadrant, lower left quadrant. We can also divide up into 9 regions. If we make a tic-tac-toe like this, it's a rough division, but the top right would be the right hypochondriac region. Hypochondriac because it's below the ribs, the cartilage of the ribs. Right hypochondriac, epigastric, left hypochondriac, right lumbar, umbilical, left lumbar, right inguinal or iliac, hypogastric or pubic, left inguinal or iliac. These are just some useful terms to help us more specifically point to where we have different organs, and if we feel different pain, for instance, we can more specifically point to where we're feeling pain and be more specific so we know what we're talking about. All right, some of the major organs we see are the liver. The liver is an important digestive and endocrine organ. If you lift up just inferior to the liver, you'll find this greener organ. This is the gallbladder. It stores bile. The liver produces bile and stores the bile in this gallbladder, and then you can see this duct. This duct will lead to the duodenum. The duodenum is right here. It's the first part of the small intestines. The gallbladder will release bile into that duodenum. Here's the stomach. The stomach is a large pouch for storage of food as well as for digestion of food. It is not for absorption of food. The stomach connects to the esophagus higher up, and then it delivers the partially digested food to the duodenum. Here's the isolated stomach. This is the esophagus. Whoops. Here's the esophageal part. Here is where it goes to the duodenum. And you can see the stomach is lined with a textured lining. These wrinkles are called rugae, and rugae allow for expansion. Like I said, the stomach is important for storing food. You never know where you're going to get your next meal necessarily. So if you see food and you can eat it, you want to fill up. So the stomach can expand thanks to the rugae. We also want to regulate our digestion. We don't want to just shove everything forward really quickly. We want to give it time to digest and then piece by piece send it to the small intestines so that the small intestines can digest slowly and steadily and absorb as many nutrients as possible. So to do that, we have sphincters. This is the lower esophageal sphincter. This is the pyloric sphincter. The upper esophageal sphincter would be higher up. If you see this head model, the upper esophageal sphincter would be over here. If we remove the stomach and the diaphragm, posterior to the stomach, we have the pancreas. The pancreas is a retroperitoneal organ. It's not within the peritoneal cavity like the stomach and the liver are. The pancreas can secrete to the duodenum just like the liver can, the liver/gallbladder, and how the stomach can release food into here to the duodenum. The pancreas is also an important endocrine organ. Sitting just left of the pancreas, we find the spleen. The spleen is an important immune organ. It helps recycle red blood cells. It also just a general immune organ to fight off infection. Lower down, inferior to all this, we have the intestines. And now there's two types. There's the small intestines and there's the large intestines. Small intestines is smaller in diameter but longer in length. When we digest food in the stomach partially, that digested food goes into the duodenum. The duodenum is the first segment of the small intestines. And then the next segment, which is all around here, that's the jejunum. And then the last part that leads into the large intestines, the last segment is called the ileum, I-L-E-U-M. And then here we have the large intestines. It starts down here with the cecum, which actually has an appendix, which I'll show in a minute. From the cecum, we go up the ascending colon. Here's the transverse colon. Go back down the descending colon, and then the sigmoid colon behind this. Let me turn this around so you can see it better. Here you can see the cecum, and here's the appendix that hangs off of the cecum. This is what sometimes gets inflamed and infected in people, and you might have to get an appendectomy. But food would continue up from the cecum to the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon. Here's a better view of the rest of the sigmoid colon, ending at the rectum, and then we eliminate waste out of the anus. With all this removed, you get a better view of the duodenum. I also want to point out this tissue that's between the intestines. The intestines are held together by this fused peritoneal membrane called mesentery, M-E-S-E-N-T-E-R-Y. Mesentery, again, is a fused peritoneum. It holds blood vessels and nerves, and it just holds the intestines together. Looking even farther back, you can see some hiding here, but it's better seen here since the pancreas and duodenum are in the way. But we have kidneys on either side. So this is the right kidney. Here's the top of the left kidney. And then we have, on top of that, the adrenal gland. The kidneys are important for filtering our blood of wastes and getting rid of excess water and solutes and ions. And then the adrenal gland is an important endocrine organ. It produces several hormones, for example, cortisol, aldosterone, and epinephrine. Lower down in the pelvic area, we can find the urinary bladder, and then we'll be able to find internal genitalia. This happens to be a male model, so we can see the ductus deferens, seminal glands, and hiding behind the urinary bladder, we'd find the prostate. I actually have a picture of that here. Urinary bladder, if this is the anterior side, here's the penis, urinary bladder, prostate, seminal gland. If we're looking at a female model, we would find the uterus, uterine tube, and ovaries. The ovaries sit on the edges of the pelvic wall. And just to be clear why it's called the abdominopelvic cavity, it's really one continuous thing. We can refer to abdominal cavity and pelvic cavity as separate things, but they're all one continuous piece. The abdominal cavity is inferior to the diaphragm. The pelvic cavity is just inferior to this pelvic outlet. So this space in here, that is considered the pelvic cavity, and then anything superior to that, that's the abdominal cavity. So together, since there's nothing actually physically separating them, together they're the abdominopelvic cavity. All right, those are the important organs of the abdominopelvic cavity. Thank you for listening.